Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming, and let's play Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars, the Director's Cut. A few people asked for some 90s games to have some Let's Plays done of them, so in order to break up the monotony of Elder Scrolls Skyrim, and I remember on the PlayStation 1 that I had Broken Sword 2, The Smoking Mirror. Now, it wasn't a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination. It was a point-and-click puzzle adventure, and on the PlayStation that suffered limitations given that I had no mouse and keyboard, so this is my first time playing this game, or the first game in fact, on the PC, despite it being a classic of the genre. It is one of these much talked about games that very much was the peak of the mould, along with the Sam & Max's and so on. So let's get started. The fact that, this one's a director's cut, as you can see, which is basically, from what I understand, the same game, just with some scenes that have since been added in order to maybe bring it more up to date. But as we've never seen this one before, we won't know which scenes those are. So let's give it a go.
Paris, city of love, romance and dreams. So they say. I used to say it too, but ever since that day, the day of the murder, I've always associated my beloved Paris with death.
Well, auspicious beginnings. Ah, Charles Cecil, or is it Cecil? I always say Cecil, but I knew someone called Cecil. A bit like the way the Americans say Bernard instead of Bernard. I think the French do as well. Probably means they're right. So, Brady, you've been to France many a time. Is this what Paris looks like? Oh, sorry, Paris. Ah, Dave Gibbons, there you go, of Watchmen and various other popular comics. And personally, I can't get enough of Barrington Flange. Not many birds in the sky in Paris today.
I was at home having a bath when my editor called.
Collard, get your ass over to the Palais Royal now. You got an interview. With Pierre Carchon. Yes, the Pierre Carchon. No photos, so leave your gear at home. He asked for you personally. Don't ask me why. Anyhow, this could be big, so if he makes a pass, don't forget. Just smile, say yes, and keep taking notes.
So charming and so very apt. Pierre Carchon was a media king, a national hero, and one of the most infamous adulterers in Europe. He and his wife Imelda were just one step down from royalty. Whoa! I hate mimes, but unless you humor them, they don't go away. Here I was, the palace of the media king and the ice queen. I pressed the doorbell and set in motion a chain of events which would change my life forever.
Yes? What is it?
Madame, my name is Nico Collard. I'm here to see Monsieur Carchon.
Come up, we're on the first floor.
A window cleaner's
Madame
arrived.
Carchon, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, I'm sure.
The Ice Queen was certainly living up to her reputation. Will you be staying for the interview?
Mademoiselle, I know little of my husband's business affairs, and I care even less. I certainly have no intention of watching him pore over yet another pretty little journalist.
Pretty? You're too kind, madame.
How to defeat the object
the
of the
talented
silence,
and very beautiful Mademoiselle Collard. Such a
Sarkozy.
pleasure to meet you at last.
Monsieur Carchon, I am honored.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Call me Pierre, please. But I do not flatter you idly. I was a friend of your father. He was a great man.
My father, he never mentioned.
He and I were very close. And then his death. So tragic. I must... Imelda, your damned cat's in my study again. Another Ming vase, I suppose.
Staring
Excuse me
over
for one moment.
too long
dear
there,
girl.
monsieur.
You journalists are getting younger each year.
Perhaps it's the rest of the world getting older, madame.
Zut alors!
That was no cat.
God, what? Monsieur Garçon!
Mon Dieu! Oldest trick in the book. Falling for the mime. And the mime turns into a woman.
He's dead. I must call the police. You'd better stay here.
There was a man. It was the mime. Do you think he...
Well, I believe we can rule out suicide, don't you?
No wonder they called her the Ice Queen. She would have been top of my list of suspects if I hadn't seen the attacker myself. And if I hadn't come across a couple of murders just like this already. One of the most important men in Europe murdered. And here was I, Nico Coulard, alone at the scene of the crime. Should I wait for the cops? Or start my own investigation?
Gendarme.
It was a no-brainer.
So now we can click. We can click around. Oh, and we're getting little. Oh, okay. Move the mouse pointer. I remember what it was called, a cursor. Around the screen to discover areas of interest, which will be indicated by an animated blue circle. When the pointer passes over an object with which you can interact, it will change to an animating icon reflecting the available action. Press the left mouse button to perform that action. Okay. We won't need puzzle hints. We won't need to save. Oh, we might, actually. Okay. So, for instance...
A bust of Pierre Cauchon, humble servant of La France.
Now, very pretentious.
The bookcase was filled with obscure first editions.
Dungeons and Dragons. Kindred the Embraced. What's that?
It contained rows of titles I didn't recognize.
Oh, we can do something with this curtain. Mon Dieu!
A small round piece of glass had been cut out of the pane. This was a professional job.
Ooh!
The killer must have used a ladder to reach the window. He was long gone. Guess he folded that ladder up, popped it in his pocket and took it with him.
Filthy mimes, capable of such chicanery.
Pierre Cauchon again. His eyes seemed to follow me around the room.
Well, not that one laying on the ground.
Mimes and guns don't usually go together, but I had an idea that this was no ordinary mime. I'd come across this murderer before, and written about him. The costume killer. At least that's what I'd called him.
Your eyes are following me around the room, Pierre.
I closed his eyes. It was the least I could do for the poor fellow. Some people hate searching corpses for clues. Me, I'm okay with it. Reminds me of an old boyfriend.
You know, at least said about
Cauchon
that the
had been shot.
What's this?
In his pocket, I
what
found a
evidence
ticket
that I can
stamped
steal?
Bateau de la Conciergerie. Taking the ticket meant I'd tampered with the evidence. There was no going back now.
Luckily, we're quite lax about this kind of thing in France. Okay, what can we poke in the bullet wound? So...
It was a boat ticket stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. When I was a little girl, Papa used to take me on the Bateau Mouche as a treat.
Brady, perhaps you can tell us what these things are. Okay, yeah, we know that. Anything to pick up around here? No, I think we've searched everywhere.
The police could turn up at any minute. Somewhere there were clues to the murder, and I needed to find them.
Let's have a look at this nice looking table.
A Louis XIV table with an antique cloth. Imelda had taste. But hey, with a husband that rich, taste is easy. A medieval pageant. Original, no doubt. The tapestry must have cost a fortune.
What is this?
I reckoned that cloth might just turn out to be useful.
Ooh.
Even my fingernail wouldn't fit into such a small hole.
So, looks like we're looking for something small to slip inside a tight hole.
Imelda had talent, but I certainly wasn't going to tell her that.
Her husband's just died. Have some compassion. Cold-hearted
It was a
French.
tube of acrylic paint. French ultramarine. Just the colour I was after for my bathroom.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Someone is...
Young lady, what are you doing?
Oh, this paint. It's my favorite colour.
For God's sake, keep the damn stuff.
Okay, so let's go back to here. Can we... For what reason we would do this, I do not know.
It wouldn't fit.
We can't squirt the paint in there then. Okay, we'll go back. I don't think we can run.
Excuse me, madame.
Yes?
Let's ask about...
I am so sorry for your loss, madame.
No, you're not. You're a journalist. Journalists don't feel sorry.
Not true.
Touche.
We shall see.
Why did your husband send for me? What did he want to discuss?
I have no idea. His business was his business.
He never told you anything.
No, and frankly, I preferred it that way.
How did your husband know my father?
I have no idea.
You didn't know him? Thierry Collard?
Pierre knew a lot of people I didn't know, most of them women.
Why would a mime want to kill your husband?
Pierre had plenty of enemies. Half the husbands in Paris for a start. This is quite a scoop for you. I suppose you're already inventing the headlines.
Just because I am a journalist.
Don't patronise me. You're all cut from the same cloth. Do you have any moral sense at all?
Do we say yes, we're an angel, or no? No.
I certainly don't let it get in the way of a good story.
I admire your loyalty to your profession.
The police will be here soon, madame. Is there anybody you would like me to contact? Family, friends?
No, I have no family. Pierre and I were... He was all I had, really. Not much, was it? The dutiful wife. That was my role. He never talked, never let me in.
I know one thing, madame.
What?
If you want to find out who killed your husband, then you let me do the job, not the police.
Why? How do I know I can trust you?
Let's stick with the devil. Actually, let's flip. Let's do a U-turn.
Your husband invited me here today because he needed me. I think he knew somebody wanted to kill him, and he knew I could help.
I doubt it was your database he was after.
You're wrong. I was onto his killers already. I am sure of it. Please, you owe it to him.
I don't know.
All I need is a few more minutes to look around before the police come.
I think perhaps you do have a moral sense. Of sorts. You're not a very good liar, Nico Collard. And perhaps Pierre really did think that you could help. Of course it wouldn't have stopped him seducing you too. Here, take this. It's the key to the drawing room next to the library at the end of the hall. It was Pierre's room. I rarely went in there. I couldn't. I was too scared of what I might find.
Merci.
Thank you. I promise you won't regret this.
Let's continue to talk with her.
Madame Cachon,
Please call me Imelda. We hardly need the formalities now, do we?
did Monsieur Cachon say nothing to you about my father?
No. I'm sorry, he never mentioned him.
What about this
So-
boat ticket?
Her husband took secret boat trips. Did she really need to see the ticket?
I'm guessing not.
Thank you. You have your own reason for taking the cloth. Please keep it.
The last thing she needed to talk about was paint.
I don't know, might take her mind off a thing.
I needed to open the drawing room door.
Okay.
I was sure that there was more to find.
Let's try using the phone.
There was no one I needed to phone.
Okay. I wonder... Oh, actually, no, I don't expect that key will fit.
The door was locked.
And you don't have enough intelligence to use the key on it yourself. That's what point and clicks are all about,
now
ladies
we were
and gentlemen.
getting somewhere.
Solve the murder mystery.
I didn't need the lights on. It was light enough already.
Still, it's nice they give you the option, isn't it?
The painting showed the Cachons together, in love. As the poet said, the past is a different country. Or did I read that in a fortune cookie?
That looks like a switch.
There was the very faintest of clicks.
Ah.
Behind the picture was a safe. The safe was locked. I needed the key.
Well... Need to keep on looking. Might have fallen down the back of the sofa.
This wasn't the time for me to lie on the sofa doing my Marie Antoinette impression.
Oh, I don't
Though
know.
it is very popular at parties, especially with gay guys. Don't ask me why.
You look like a man?
As expected, the desk was yet another priceless antique. Yawn. The blotter and in tray had clearly been placed with mathematical precision. I didn't need a sheet of blotting paper.
So, what if we use some of this paint on it?
The paint would have just soaked into the blotting paper, but the idea was good.
Ah.
My heart skipped a beat. It was a carved elephant.
But not just any carved elephant. It had been made by my father. I knew for certain because in my apartment I had its exact twin, carved into a box he had made.
So Cauchon had known my father.
They really must have been friends. I decided to take the carved elephant. It clearly meant nothing to Imelda.
Bit of a leap. Let's see what happens if we shake it
It was
up.
the beautiful elephant my father had carved.
Nothing. Okay.
I didn't want to take the tray, but I knew that I could use it.
Yeah, so how...
I didn't want to
Yeah, okay. So what are we going to put in there? We put that...
no.
Okay. I feel like an idiot now.
No. No.
Alright, let's step away from the desk.
Locked. Not surprising, really.
Shouldn't be the same key twice, surely.
It didn't work.
No.
But I guess it would have been surprising if it had.
Well, quite. Now, my thoughts exactly, Nico. Alright, so... We know that there's a safe, a blotter to use. Is it worth using the light switch now?
I didn't need the light.
So we need some sort of ink. Must be some way of opening this.
A magnificent...
It wouldn't fit.
No, I didn't think that would work either. Nothing but silence.
It wouldn't fit.
So, a few things for us to look for now, isn't there? Oh, how I do miss these sorts of games. I know there are new Sam and Max games getting released all the time, but... Excuse me. Not enough.
I didn't want to cut myself and leave blood on the glass. Call me old-fashioned, but I like to keep my DNA to myself.
Point and click games are out these days. What else does he have on him? We must be able to
Pierre
ransack the
Cachon
body
was
of it.
stiff for the last time.
Oh. Ha!
It was one of my hair clips. My favorite, in fact. It must have fallen when I was knocked down.
Well,
I opened his eyes. Best to leave the crime scene as I found it.
Yeah, no, maybe not.
I closed his eyes. I opened his...
Alright. Yeah, I'm sure the fact that his eyes are open will mean a great deal to the gendarmes. If this doesn't work, I'm a monkey's uncle.
Aha!
Ah!
You are just so damn good at this stuff.
What is that?
A key had been hidden in a secret compartment. A modern key. Instead of comforting Imelda, I was ransacking her flat. Why? Because there was something going on here, and I had to get answers before the cops arrived. And hey, she'd been rude to me, so she had it coming.
I have to say, the Le Francais Constabulaire is not known for its expediency in this game. Or should it be Le Constabulaire Francais? Come on. There we go. Haha! What is this?
In the safe was some kind of artifact. There were strange symbols on its surface. It looked like the printer's blocks I'd made at art school. If there was one thing I'd learned about symbols, they are always important. But these symbols scratched into stone were impossible to read.
Well,
I needed to find a way of printing them.
I've
At
already...
least the stone was round. But what could I use for ink? And what could I print on? Sure, I was stealing, but I knew Imelda didn't know about the artifact, and Carchon was past carrying.
Good French philosophy there. Well, fortunately, the gentleman gamer isn't some dumb fool of a
Putting the
took.
paint straight on the cylinder would be too messy. The paint would go everywhere.
In that case...
I smeared the paint all over the cloth. When I do messy, I really like to put my heart into it. I hoped this was going to help. They don't
Probably
make
not.
lace like that anymore. I wiped the paint-covered cloth over the surface of the stone cylinder. It took me right back to art class at school. And Maurice, my gorgeous art teacher. Such a shame they had to fire him. Ah well, concentrate, Nico, concentrate.
So now, if we go back to the blotter, we can probably roll our little stone artifact on it. I'm clearly more clever than I give myself credit.
Genius. The roller and the paint worked just as I planned. But what did it say?
Well done, you have passed level 1.
It was some kind of coded message. It read, subjudice. I may not have learned a lot as a journalist, but that was a term I knew well. It means a legal case that is before the courts. Below it was a sequence of letters that made no sense.
SDSS.
I suddenly realized there was a connection between the boat ticket and the coded message.
I'm glad you did.
The boat ticket was stamped Bateau de la Conciergerie. The Conciergerie on the Ile de la Cité, by the river, housed the ancient law courts. So, subjudice could in this case mean literally under the law courts, below the Conciergerie. I was pretty sure I'd found all I could here. And besides, all this opulence was making me pine for my regular life of poverty. This was a huge story. It was also one heck of a puzzle with a lot of pieces missing. But I was going to crack it. And if I could just remember the name of that fancy prize you get for being an ace journalist, I was definitely going to win it this time.
Maybe it's licensed and we're not allowed to say it in this game. Well, I think in that case we're going to have to leave the place before the gendarmes arrive. In a way, it's nice that Nico doesn't just go running around. It is quite unnatural for folk to do so. I'm off.
I couldn't leave without saying goodbye to Imelda.
I could.
Did you find anything useful?
This carving, do you know anything about it?
It was Pierre's. What does the statue have to do with...
Please, I need to know.
He was given it by a friend. Something to do with Africa.
He never explained any more.
No. But I think it was important to him, always on display. Why?
It was carved by my father.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
Imelda, I will do everything I can to find the killer.
Thank you, my dear.
And if the police ask,
Don't worry. You were never here.
sub judice was the key. I was going to have to find a way under the Conciergerie. I decided to head straight for the quayside on the Ile de la Cité. If there was a way of getting under the Conciergerie, it would have to be from there.
We're on our way. Dum-ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-ba-ba. Ah.
Carchon wasn't the type for messing about on the river. He was up to something down here. Something that got him killed.
You know what they say about men who hang around the docks.
An old boyfriend of mine owned a barge once. Dampest relationship I ever had. In every way.
If I head back up there, where will I go? Let's keep going along here for now.
The fence wouldn't move.
To be fair, I didn't expect it to.
This fence wouldn't move either. It was the old boathouse for the Conciergerie.
If I was right about the meaning of sub judice, then the answer had to lie somewhere here on the quayside.
Aha! That symbol looks familiar, doesn't it?
The cross looked familiar. I'd seen it before. It was embroidered on the lace cloth I'd picked up at Carchon's apartment. I knew I was on the right track.